They're the people that Assyria came in, took over Israel, and their children from all that time period, from living in the land, it's like the half-breed, weird uncle that we don't want to talk about. That whole group of people. I mean, people in Jesus' day, in the first century, would go around Samaria instead of walking through it, which would be a lot easier because there's people that hated them, that reminded them of their past. The wickedness of the northern kingdom, who served the pagan gods and got crushed because of them. We disown them. We hate them and they hate us. That's why Jesus, when he talks to the Samaritan woman, it's a big deal. Not just because she's a woman. You don't go through Samaria. You don't talk to Samaritans. The Good Samaritan story starts to make sense. When you know how the Samaritans were, it was like extreme racism. They're kind of the same race, but not. But it's this, we hate you, you hate us, and let's leave each other alone. And so this is where the story ends. This is the Old Testament. So wrestles with God is a good way to think about it, right? Because the people continued to sin, and God continued to judge, but with a plan. And it leads so naturally into the New Testament, where we see God's not just going to save them from their sins, but save them from being so sinful. That's what we see in the Old Testament, is that they couldn't stop sinning. Right? They didn't need to just get it like covered over. They needed to actually change. And this is the hope of Christ, that this will not happen again, not because we're so strict on the law, but because God said, I'm going to write my law on their hearts. I'm going to take out their heart of stone, put in a heart of flesh. This is the promise of the Spirit, the promise of Christ. And that's what we're working on Wednesday nights. All right, I took you guys way too long. That was a big old chunk. Hopefully some of that sticks in your head. You just got the whole Old Testament. So, thank the kids. All right, you guys can go back.
Thank you, John. Thank you, young people. We normally have a time of prayer, but and it's also a time that you can bring your offering. Our closing hymn today is How Great Thou Art, and we're going to sing 2 verses of that. And then I'm going to ask you, if you want to pray where you're at while we sing How Great Thou Art. And if you have offering that you'd like to bring up, if you'll just bring it up after the service, it'll be fine, because our acolytes will be coming forward during How Great Thou Art to take the flame of Christ back out with them. So stand and join with me, if you would, please, as we share together How Great Thou Art. We'll sing 2 verses.